Breaking news, Diddy has been denied bail. He's going to jail.
Court documents allege Combs often hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims at times by their hair. He also allegedly kidnapped someone at gunpoint and set someone's car on fire by dropping a Molotov cocktail inside.
Well, if you don't know this too, just days before Diddy got arrested, JayZ was on the phone with him, and sources say he's been acting shady ever since. Rumors are swirling about what they talked about on that call, and it's got people thinking there's way more to this story.
JayZ ain't answering the phone? He ain't answering the motherfucking phone.
Diddy and JayZ have shared a long history, but with justice now stepping in, it's clear that Diddy isn't planning to face things alone. As the drama unfolds, it looks like he's ready to drag those close to him into it, many of whom have been staying silent. By now, most people know that Diddy is dealing with some serious accusations, or at least have heard the rumors. While his behavior and character have been questioned for a while, we're finally getting solid details about what's been going on behind the scenes.
Here in New York, a judge has ruled music mogul Sean Diddy Combs must remain in jail as he awaits trial on a wide range of charges involving the alleged serial abuse of women. He denies all the charges. Jerika Duncan is outside the courthouse. Jerika, good morning.
Good morning to you, Nate. You know, when you think of Sean Diddy Combs, this is someone who has had an undeniable influence in hip-hop culture that goes beyond music. But it is that influence that prosecutors say allowed him to get away with crimes for decades.
This time, things are unfolding differently, and it looks like justice is catching up. Federal investigators have apparently found strong evidence at Diddy's properties, leading to his indictment on several serious federal charges. These include racketeering, trafficking through coercion or fraud, and transporting people with the intent to exploit them.
In the Manhattan courthouse Tuesday, lawyers for media mogul Sean Diddy Combs insisted he is innocent.
He didn't do these things. There's no coercion, there's no crime.
And vowed to get the 54-year-old out of jail with a bail appeal.
What was the first thing that he said to you after he realized that he was going back to jail tonight?
I'll see you tomorrow.
But federal prosecutors argue the former hip-hop star is a serial abuser who used his business empire to lead a criminal enterprise that abused, threatened, and coerced women into sexual acts at events he arranged called freak-offs.
The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant.
The investigation uncovered a variety of items, such as firearms, ammunition, electronic records, and surprisingly, over 1,000 bottles of personal lubricant. Diddy, who was arrested in New York, has pleaded not guilty and is currently being held at Brooklyn's notorious Metropolitan Detention Center.
Homeland Security raided Combs' Miami and Los Angeles homes in March. Prosecutors say agents seized narcotics, recordings of sex acts, and firearms, including 3 AR-15s allegedly used to intimidate victims and witnesses.
Big ball, Diddy!
In one instance, prosecutors said just this month, Combs reached out to a former bandmate of alleged victim Don Richard more than 50 times in a span of 4 days. That former bandmate then made a public statement saying they were not aware of any abusive behavior from Combs.
The clear implication there is that there's witness tampering, that he was trying to talk her into making some negative comments about Don publicly.
Attorney Lisa Bloom represents Richard, who filed a civil case against Combs last week.
We really appreciate the power of the U.S. government going after Sean Combs and prosecuting him for what's only been whispered about for decades.
Federal prosecutors say they've interviewed more than 50 witnesses and potential victims. They expect that number to grow. If Combs is convicted on these crimes, he faces 15 years to life in prison. Very, very serious charges.
The arrest of music mogul and entertainment giant Diddy has stunned the media. As a major figure in the industry, his unexpected downfall has grabbed headlines and sparked heated debates.
But were you surprised at how extensive and disturbing the charges were, or did it feel par for the course given everything else that he's been accused of?
Let me just say this: his attorney said he would plead not guilty,
right,
to all to everything. And RICO cases or racketeering cases are not that common.
but racketeering convictions are very common in the federal government. Federal prosecutors generally don't lose these kinds of cases. And this was more disturbing to me. It's only 14 pages, but within the 14 pages, it describes, mob-like behavior. These cases are generally brought against mobs. So they are describing a criminal enterprise that involved trafficking of underage people across state lines to have sex, and they dubbed them freak-offs.
Homeland Security took Diddy into custody at the Park Hyatt in New York after a grand jury indicted him on serious charges. His legal team mentioned that Diddy had been in the city for a week, possibly expecting the charges. The indictment was made public on Tuesday, and Diddy appeared in federal court, where he pleaded not guilty. Despite a second judge reviewing the case, his request
second judge overseeing his federal criminal case denied him bond once again.
The fight continues. We're not giving up by a long shot.
Outside the New York City courthouse, his lawyer defiant.
He believes he's innocent. I believe he's innocent. And we're going to fight this case with all of our might until we don't have to fight any longer.
The judge ruling the bail package presented by Combs' lawyer was insufficient, siding with prosecutors, who called Combs a threat to society, adding there is no condition that would assure that the rapper would not obstruct justice. A major topic of discussion ahead of the ruling, this troubled 2016 video that shows Combs brutally beating his then-girlfriend, singer Cassie, who prosecutors say was attempting to escape from one of Combs' so-called freak-offs.
The investigation into Diddy took off earlier this year when federal agents searched 2 of his properties. Experts had been predicting his arrest was coming. The warrants were issued to gather electronic evidence related to alleged illegal activities, including sexual misconduct and racketeering.
However, prosecutors, who were adamant Combs remain in custody, pointed to what they describe as a massive amount of evidence, including text messages read in court from women accusing Combs of physical and sexual violence that went on for decades, and vast efforts to cover it up, adding witnesses universally share an extreme fear of the defendant.
So, Chloe, he's being held in Brooklyn at this jail, this prison. What else do we know about that?
So it's this detention center in Brooklyn, and he is in this very special portion of the facility that offers an extra layer of security for high-profile individuals who could be targeted among the general population. And that could mean that he's limited to facilities like the library and the phone, so could make it hard, his lawyers are saying, for him to be able to prepare for trial. And because of all of this, Combs' attorney is actually asking for him to be moved to a New Jersey jail. But a judge said that that's ultimately going to be up to the Bureau of Prisons to decide. I mean, he can continue to appeal this and can appeal the bond, right? But you saw it with Ghislaine Maxwell. She continued to appeal and was not successful. Now 2 federal judges saying, you got to stay behind bars.
The allegations against Diddy started back in November of last year when singer Cassie, whose real name is Cassandra Ventura, filed a civil lawsuit against him. This lawsuit sparked a series of legal battles and brought a lot of attention to his actions and lifestyle.
Well, I'm glad, because I want to go there next, because he went after the victims that came forward, including Cassie. It was a disgusting sort of a defense. He says he thinks this is all eminently manageable. He doesn't have a criminal record. He was acquitted. He's ready to do it again. Trying to just play it like this is all bad. Oh, who are these victims? He's not a perfect person. These toxic relationships were mutual. So now he's putting all the blame on them. Now he's trying to be better for the rest of his days. Oh, okay. Well, he's learned his lesson, guys. He's trying to be better, so give him a slap on the wrist. If there's one thing we've seen, we should stand by people who are trying to get the help they need. Look, I'm all for past accountability, but when you go out and try to shame Cassie, saying she's a liar and a clout chaser the way you did, and then you only came forward because the evidence you thought you paid off wasn't paid off, dude, you're dead. You're dead to me. You're donezo. Diddy is done.
Cassie accused Diddy of physical and emotional abuse, forcing her to carry illegal weapons, and pressuring her into unwanted acts with others. Though the lawsuit was quickly settled out of court, it sparked a wave of similar allegations. Since then, investigators have uncovered troubling evidence that sheds light on the darker
hotel footage find its way. I wonder how that happened. We didn't have it. Yeah, because you deleted it. This was just awful. This was just disgusting to watch. 2 people were in a hotel room, an issue that Mr. Combs had more than one girlfriend. Okay, victim 1 looked through his phone, saw that, and hit him in the head with a cell phone, and took his clothing. So he comes out in a towel. This is how they're trying to justify that video. That infamous video, that deplorable, disgusting video that shows the worst. Here it is again. There it is. Oh, well, that justifies it. That justifies what he did to her. I mean, it is truly shameful that they're trying to victim blame Cassie.
Investigators seized more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and personal lubricant, which they believe were connected to events referred to as freak-offs. These gatherings were described as organized sexual performances, often filmed under Diddy's direction. Court documents suggest that commercial sex workers were transported across state lines, and even internationally, for these events. Victims were reportedly—
Now, Lewis, I want to get you into, like, there was a part here where they were trying to defend these guns that had, the serial numbers off, and he's trying to claim, well, my security keeps the guns in them. It's not Mr. Combs. Would you keep an unregistered serial number scratched out weapon like that in your home bedroom closet, Lewis? Does that seem like a fair argument?
Oh, it was a lame defense too, because why would a legitimate security company scratch out the serial number? Does that make any sense? I don't think they could do that. So look, this guy, he tricked me to a certain extent. I thought he was going to get bail because the way he acts, he's taking selfie pictures with fans minutes before he got arrested yesterday.
Former CIA officer and FBI agent Tracy Walder shared her perspective on the investigation and the process of securing a federal search warrant. She explained that these warrants are usually approved when there's a real threat of evidence being destroyed or a risk to public safety. In Diddy's case, the need to preserve evidence likely justified the action. Tactical SWAT teams were brought in to carry out the warrants because of the presence of armed security and weapons, ensuring the operation's safety.
Yeah, I mean, in a case like this, obviously you're not making any kind of a dynamic entry. This isn't a hostage situation, right? Where that's not what's happening here. However, they did know that there would be weapons there, armed security, those kinds of things. That's why you saw those warrants being served by, for the most part, a tactical SWAT team. Simply, that is procedure to keep everyone safe.
The indictment and arrest of Diddy are having serious consequences for both his career and personal life. Once used to the luxury of private jets and grand mansions, he now finds himself confined at the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, a place often described as hell on earth due to its terrible living conditions. MDC is a stark contrast to the high-flying lifestyle Diddy once lived.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs spent his first night behind bars inside a facility that is being called hell on earth. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn is notorious for its appalling living conditions and rampant violence. How bad is it inside this federal lockup? There have been 2 murders, 4 suicides, and numerous stabbings and lockdowns in recent years. It's so out of control inside that 4 federal judges are reportedly refusing to send any more prisoners here.
Michael Cohen, former fixer for Donald Trump, spent a tough year in federal custody and highlighted the stark contrast Diddy will face compared to his life of luxury. Inmates are given very little space, with just basic furnishings, a desk, a plastic chair, a bed with a thin mattress, no pillow, and a small locker for personal items. This environment is a far cry from the comfort Diddy was used to in his previous lifestyle. Diddy's legal team has been trying to secure his release on bail, offering his $48 million Miami Beach mansion and private jets as collateral. They've argued that the conditions at the MDC are harsh and inhumane, highlighting the ongoing struggles faced by
Diddy's lawyers were so eager to keep him out of jail, they offered his palatial $48 million home in Miami Beach and his private jets as bail. Today, they are even offering to restrict female visitors to his homes, except for his mother, daughters, and the mothers of his children if he is released. They told the judge the jail he was being sent to is dreadful, dirty, inhuman, and an ongoing tragedy.
Despite these efforts, the judge pointed to Diddy's history of violent outbursts and the risk of witness intimidation as reasons for denying bail. As a result, Diddy will stay in custody.
Deal that the U.S. Attorney's Office can offer, and it's certainly not one that Diddy will accept. It would involve decades in federal prison. We're talking about mandatory minimum sentences of 10 years for both the drug charges and the sex trafficking. So we know that Diddy has fought charges before. There were state charges, there were gun-related, the nightclub shooting with JayZ, but he's going to dig in his heels, and this case is going to trial. So if you're prosecutors, you really want to make sure that your evidence is bulletproof.
The reaction from those close to Diddy has been mixed. Family members appeared solemn as they attended federal court for another attempt to secure bail. On the other hand, Diddy's former protege, singer Aubrey O'Day, publicly celebrated his downfall, calling it a victory for women. With Diddy out of the picture, more truths are starting to emerge. Rumors suggest that his parties were attended by many Hollywood figures and even high-profile individuals, including
JayZ ain't answering the phone? He ain't answering the motherfucking phone.
Will Diddy start snitching?
He better. But the only thing I'm interested in him talking about is everything he knows about Kathy Coriana White, JayZ's pregnant mistress, who died 24 hours after she announced that she was going public with their relationship and the baby while he was married to Beyonce. See, I know you know what happened to Corey. Diddy, you and JayZ down in Vegas in Tao with Claudia. Why don't you just talk about Kathy? That might help.
Now,
Was it an aneurysm, Diddy? Or are you the one who paid the same coroner that you... Oh, Diddy, you should talk.
Breaking news. You know that Diddy got arrested, but you don't know that JayZ is not feeling any good now. Well, if you don't know this too, just days before Diddy got arrested, JayZ was on the phone with him, and sources say he's been acting shady ever since. Rumors are swirling about what they talked about on that call, and it's got people thinking there's way more to this story. The tension's real, and some insiders are saying JayZ's trying to distance himself from Diddy ASAP, like he knows something big is about to go down. Why not? And we know how close they were for each other ever since. Could JayZ be caught up in something more? We never know, but no one can unsee their clips and pictures together.